Hey everyone, and welcome to the Presentation Channel. So have you ever stopped to think about how the United States went from this quiet, sprawling nation of farms to a full-blown industrial giant in like less than a century? It's an incredible story, really full of stolen secrets, mind-blowing inventions, and a country that basically reinvented itself from the ground up. It is a wild ride, so let's get right into it. So that's the big question for today, right? How on earth did this happen so fast? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was more like a perfect storm of new ideas, some really brilliant inventions, and yeah, a little bit of what we might call borrowed genius. But to really get the after, we've got to look at the before. So let's just paint a picture here. Think about America in 1790. Pretty much everything ran on muscle, either yours or your horse's. Your world was small, it was local. If you needed a chair, your neighbor probably made it. It wasn't shipped from some giant factory hundreds of miles away. But fast forward to 1870 and wow, the entire world has changed. The air has the faint smell of coal and the rhythm of life is set by the chugging of steam engines, not the quiet of the countryside. And that's the key thing to remember. Before all this, the word manufacturing meant, maybe a few people working in a small shop, or even just one person weaving cloth in their living room. It was slow, it was personal, but it was definitely not efficient. And that was about to change in a very, very big way. So what kicked this whole thing off? You might be thinking it was some big, flashy invention. But the start of the American Industrial Revolution actually reads more like a spy novel. It all began with a bit of industrial espionage. You see, back in the late 1700s, Britain was the only industrial power on the planet. They were the undisputed champions, and they guarded their technology like a state secret. Because, well, it was. They made it illegal for skilled factory workers to leave the country. They made it illegal to export the machines, or even the blueprints. They had a complete monopoly on this new way of making things, and they had absolutely no intention of sharing. And then along comes this guy, Samuel Slater. He was an apprentice in a British textile mill, and he saw the future happening right in front of him. Now, he couldn't exactly sneak the blueprints out in his lunchbox, so he did the next best thing. He memorized them. The entire complex design of a textile mill, he stored it all in his head and sailed to America. Over in Britain, they called him Slater the Traitor. But here in the US, he's known as the father of the American Industrial Revolution. Talk about perspective, huh? So with these mental blueprints, Slater teamed up with some American investors, and in 1790, they did it. They opened the first successful water-powered cotton spinning mill right there in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And this one building, this wasn't just a factory, it was the spark. It was the tiny flame that was about to set an entire nation on fire. But of course, a spark is just a spark. To get a real roaring fire, you need fuel. And that fuel, as it turns out, was pure American ingenuity. Because while the first idea might have been borrowed, Americans very quickly started innovating on their own, coming up with ideas that would totally supercharge the revolution. Okay, this next concept might sound a little boring, but I promise you it is one of the most important ideas of the entire era: interchangeable parts. Think about it like this. Before this idea, if a part of your rifle broke, a skilled gunsmith would have to hand make a brand new, unique piece just to fit your specific gun. But with interchangeable parts, it's more like Legos. Every piece is exactly the same. And this system, which was perfected by Eli Whitney to make muskets for the US government, was a total game changer. Suddenly, you could just churn out thousands of identical triggers, barrels, and stocks. Assembling a musket went from a slow custom job to a quick assembly line process. And the best part? If something broke, you didn't need an expert craftsman anymore. You just grabbed a new part off the shelf, popped it in, and you were good to go. This was truly the birth of mass production. And speaking of Eli Whitney, he had another invention that would totally reshape the country, especially the South: the cotton gin. The jump in productivity was just insane. Before the cotton gin, it would take one person a full day of hard labor to clean the seeds out of a single pound of cotton. With the gin, that same person could clean 50 pounds. 50! This massive increase in efficiency made cotton the king of crops.
And tragically, this also led to a massive expansion of slavery, creating a deeper and deeper economic and moral divide between the industrial North and the agrarian South.
Okay, so America is now making all this stuff, and they're making it faster than ever before. Great, but that doesn't really help you if you can't get those goods to the people who want to buy them. The next crucial piece of the puzzle was a revolution in transportation. And the speed of this change was just breathtaking. It started with things like the Erie Canal in 1825, basically a man-made river that created a water highway for commerce. But the real revolution within a revolution was the railroad. It just exploded from just a few miles of track in 1830 to a massive iron web covering the country by 1860. And then the final piece, the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869, linking East and West coasts. I mean, just look at that number. Over 30,000 miles of track laid in just 30 years. It's staggering. You can think of it as the nation's first internet. This physical network that can move raw materials from the West to the factories in the East and then ship the finished products back out to everyone everywhere. And all at once, the sheer size of America just shrank. A trip that used to take weeks by wagon could now be done in just a few days by train. Goods, people, information, everything started moving at a speed that was just unimaginable a generation earlier. So all of these changes, the factories, the inventions, the railroads, they did more than just change the economy. They fundamentally changed American life. They changed where people lived, how they worked, and created this brand new reality that came with its own set of opportunities and its own set of problems. The whole social fabric of the country was being rewoven. Back in 1790, almost everyone was a farmer. By 1870, that was changing fast. Cities were growing like crazy. The new factories acted like giant magnets, pulling huge numbers of people away from a life on the farm and into these booming urban centers, all looking for work. And life in these new industrial cities, well, it was a real mixed bag. On one hand, there were jobs and a chance to make money in a way that just didn't exist before. But on the other hand, you had people crammed into overcrowded, unsanitary housing. You had long, grueling, and often dangerous hours inside the factories. And, as we mentioned, the whole revolution was making that divide between the industrial North and the slave-holding agrarian South wider and wider. So in the end, this era completely remade America. It built the foundation for the country to become the economic superpower we know today, but it also created these deep tensions and divisions that would eventually explode into the Civil War. It was a time of unbelievable progress for sure, but that progress definitely came with a heavy price. And that leaves us with a pretty big question, one that countries are still wrestling with today. If you were building a society from the ground up, what would you focus on first? Pushing for rapid economic and industrial growth at all costs? Or making sure you establish the social well-being of all your citizens first? And is it even possible to do both at the same time? Yeah, there's really no easy answer to that one. We would genuinely love to hear what you think about it. Drop down into the comments and let us know your take. So that's our look at the American Industrial Revolution. If you enjoy breaking down these huge, important topics, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next explainer. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.